It's the Kink Consultant Podcast, where we're turning up the heat on all things kink and dating, relationships, and pop culture. So close the door, plug in your headphones, and let's get down to it. Hello and welcome to this week's episode of the Kink Consultant. Today I am joined by a special friend and business dom. That is not her official name, but I have Brenda, my business manager, who I speak with on the daily. And I've brought her in because she is, admittedly, she is itself said, living vicariously through my dating life. So I thought if I'm going to talk about my dating life on the podcast, there's no one else I want here other than Brenda. Welcome, Brenda.
Hey. I love the biz dom, and I'm totally taking it from now on. I am your official biz dom.
So
Let's talk about it.
Yeah, I can't wait to tell you all of it. So obviously, a lot of people are already following me on Instagram or TikTok. Instagram stories is where every little piece of my dating life is sort of documented. So if you're on there, you know some stuff, but I want to go in depth. Brenda, what do you want to know?
I mean, I'm not hugely in the kink world, right? So I'm coming from it as a complete outside perspective. So I want to know, like, what made you say yes to the text message of like, hey, let's meet up? You mentioned a couple of people, and I think this one guy in particular sticks out. Target guy?
Target guy is the front runner at the moment. I went on a lot of dates last week, and Target guy just kind of felt like he came out of nowhere. I mean, we messaged and he was so funny. He was a strong communicator from the get-go. Like, he had filled out his profile well, but he also, his first message was like, I wanted to make sure you read this specific part of my profile.
Okay, what was it?
It was just that he is only in town 2 weeks a month. He lives here, but he travels for work.
Okay, that's manageable though. I mean, it gives you time to be able to see other people.
I am single and mingling. I thought this was perfect too. I said, that's fine. And then he responded. And I guess I left it a little too long between his response and me ever responding. So he double messaged like the next day.
Okay, that tells me interest. Okay,
Yes,
keep
I
going.
know. His message back was, you're right. Let's skip the small talk. So from the beginning, he just made an assumption. He just pushed the conversation along in a really great way. He said, let's go on a date. What time are you available on Thursday? Had he said, no, this is big. Okay. Had he said, are you free on Thursday? I would have said, no, not really. But because he said, well, what time are you free? I was like, it put me in the hot seat. I was like, I'm not free on Thursday, but I am on Friday at 5. And he,
Yeah. Did you know it was also a yes, no question? It wasn't a yes, no question,
no,
maybe.
it was,
It was, I'm doing this, I'm taking you out. Like, okay, daddy.
So I was forced to like give my availability just from the phrasing. So he does phrasing. We like that. He invited me to a specific cafe. I was like, let's go at 4 then, because he had a hard stop early on in the evening. We have the plan set. That's a Wednesday. So on Friday morning, I text him, I say, you still want to meet today? Which in hindsight was a little bit direct. I should have said good morning or something, but it's fine. He said, I'm not excited for it. Does 4 still work for you?
No.
And his grammar and everything, like there's a comma and a question mark in this. Like he's typed this out well. And I said, 4 def works, but if you're not excited, we should just skip. Talk about deflated. I was convinced this man is sort of busy, is like, whatever.
Yeah. Oh, no.
I carried that for the day. So much so I put it on stories because I was like, am I overreacting or is
Like,
this
what is happening? Yes.
So I jokingly said I'd like the person to at least look forward to meeting because that's what you want when dating.
Right.
He said he's sorry. I did not mean to put that in there. And he sent those like crying emojis.
Sure.
I'm
Yeah,
like, good half save. And then I have the poll going so that I can crowdsource whether or not we all think that this is
excellent.
a typo or not. So we exchanged numbers because I'm like, this guy, I'm not sure if he's hot or cold on this meeting. So I'm like, let me just at least get his number so that if he doesn't show up, I can call him and be like, where are you? He texts me later in the day. He says, I'm on my way. And Vegas, everywhere in Vegas is 35 minutes away. Everywhere max, like at 35 minutes, most you have to go. He's leaving an hour early. And I'm like, where are you coming from? Thinking, this is already weird. He says he's in town 2 weeks a month, but I'm already suspicious of it.
But also screams out of towner because you're like, clearly you don't know where you're going.
He texts me back, about 20 minutes later, and he said, I just realized the cafe I wanted to take you to doesn't open until 5.
Oh.
So I'm like, is this date even happening? And remember, he originally does say he wants to meet at 5, but then he needs to meet earlier because of work. So I can be forgiving. I said, let's just meet at Starbucks. This guy's already looking for a different place to go. And anyone who knows me knows that I'm a grande Americano from Starbucks any time of day.
Right.
I love it. I'm not angry at a Starbucks date. So he sends the address of one, and I look at it and I think, oh, no, 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 no. This is not a sit down cafe Starbucks. This is a Target Starbucks. I've enjoyed many a Starbucks and Target walkarounds with my girlfriends or even on my own on a Saturday. Quiet morning thing
Yep.
to do. Love it. Is this where I want my first date with someone to be?
I don't know. I don't know. I
No,
mean, it opens it up to loads of like getting to know each other real quick.
we had no choice. So I call him really quickly, which I always think is a good sign when you end up having to be on the phone real quick because you get a voice check, you get a vibe check. It's like,
Oh.
it's the
And
perfect.
it's like spur of the moment. So like they're not expecting it either, right?
Yeah, because I didn't text him to say I'm calling. I explain, I'm like, are you okay with that? I'm fine with it. And I tell him I'm going to be late because at this stage, there's no chance in hell I'm making it on
Yeah.
time. And I figure once he knows, I have a little bit more time. So I make a quick Instagram video to tell everybody I'm about to go on this date at Target to see what it's like because I need
FYI, here's where I am just in case.
I need more people to know. People to know I'm dating. I show up 16 minutes late. I am never that late for a date. In fact, I'm really against it. I think it's really poor manners to be that late, but
Yeah.
I do think that the snafu held me up a little bit because I was trying to figure out the plan and
You got brownie points. You're
thank
good.
you. Yeah, but equally, I get there. There is no Target guy outside of Starbucks. And I figure, well, I'm here now. I'm not just going to stand here and wait. I want my
Right.
coffee. So I line up and I get my coffee and I text him like, are you still here? He made a joke about not wanting to look like a stalker, which how would he? But whatever. It was pretty funny. He was like, he said, so he took a lap like it was a sports game that he was warming up for, and he took a lap around Target. So he came up, he said, can I get you a drink? I said, I've already ordered.
Okay, so you started walking around the halls. What were you thinking when you were walking through, like, the shower curtains, for God's sakes?
So I'm thinking I'm at Target. I've just moved into a new place. I'm unpacking. There's stuff I need. So I'm thinking, what do I need? What do I want to go buy? And so in my head, I'm making a mental list of all the things I need to hit while here. And I'm like, do I tell him where there's a checklist now that we're at a Target, or do I just naturally bring us to where I
Just
need
do
to?
it.
Yeah,
Just do it.
just do it. What proceeds to happen is we have the most in-depth conversations out of nowhere. So I ask about his job. I ask out ended up doing his job. We talk about his education.
Yep.
Everything from kindergarten up until right now.
Okay, like this, is this a typical thing for like
A
first
date.
dates? Because you need to remember it's been 20 plus years.
I go deep. You have to understand the work I do, I naturally just get to the core of people's being, and I have to roll it back a lot when I'm on a date because it's just my natural inclination to not let anybody ask me any questions and just
Right.
go. But I appreciated that he equally asked me questions back and entertained my conversation as much as his. Yeah.
Okay, so he was given just as much as you were.
Yeah. And something else I noticed that set this date apart is sometimes when I'm on a date, the other person has no problem answering my questions and talking about themselves. And that's what I do.
You are a coach. You
Yes,
listen for a living.
I'm like, let me crack you open and have you tell me everything about yourself.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But then sometimes when I transition into sharing a fun story about me or talking about me, sometimes I see their face maybe glaze over, but he made space.
That's another little
Yeah.
check target guy.
You have to remember, so like the bar is low, right? We're going in and the bar is starting low, like, oh, he actually listens. But I think that's a really good sign to look out for.
Absolutely.
We go really deep. We talk about our childhoods, how we grew up, what we start to just touch on the big things that happen, and
Yeah.
that is not normal. I do not normally talk about this much. I think about my life in relation to these things. And that might be the difference because I can get that information from anyone, but I don't always give it up as easily.
Right. Right. Do you feel like being surrounded literally by home goods and like peeling that layer back, making you feel more comfortable? Like, do you feel that like helped towards opening up.
Yeah, no, you're onto something, because there were little things that I would get excited to go look at, and then I would ask him questions about things based on what I was looking at. And they were random things. So there were Christmas lights up, and I love Christmas. I love decorating for Christmas. I'm not decorating my house this year because I'm so focused on unpacking,
Right.
but I wanted to see everything. So I was like, can we go look at the lights? With a lot of excitement. And that led to questions about holidays celebrated, what holidays we liked. And he
I
did so.
think this is maybe like the new dating, like go shopping.
And now I want this to be every first date, but I worry it would make this one less special. And then I eventually did tell him, I said, you know what? I just moved into a new place. I need to get a shower curtain. I gave him the heads up we would eventually make it over there, and we did. And I sort of started to explain my logic. He didn't ask. I just said, like, I like that, but it's a little tacky to have in my home. So I explained my logic, the vibe and aesthetic I was going for.
Okay, so how does one go from the basic that you just did to the not so basic?
The brilliance of being a sex and relationship coach who specializes in kink, Brenda. I just went straight for it. Remember,
Okay.
I am the zero chill girl. I have zero
Right.
chill when it comes to a burning question. Like, when did you first realize you were interested in kink? That's a big one for me. I want to know, and I'm going to ask it. So I sort of not sure how the date was going. I said to him, like, listen, I'm really enjoying this. I'd love to chat again, even if not as a date. And he said that he'd really like to see me again as well. Yeah, so the vibes were definitely there until we started to figure out when we could possibly schedule another date together. So remember, he's out of town for 2 weeks a month.
So that means he's not here for the holidays either.
No, that's the problem. I'm not there for the holidays. We are nearly 6 weeks out. We settle on our next date being January 23rd. The first date is Friday, December 6th. We're not meeting again until January 23rd. And he says he'd really like to stay chatting, like in texting.
So how does that make you feel?
I'm feeling that that is a millennium away. 6 weeks in
It's a
dating
lot.
life. It's a lot when this date that I'm on with him is my fourth date of the week.
But also the only guy that you've really told me.
True. That is 100% true.
There's something to be said about those vibes of, like sometimes you just hit it. Okay. I'll tell you something that I met my husband. We were working at a restaurant together, and we literally the first words we ever said to each other were profanities. I asked him for French fries very kindly. I said, please and thank you
Of
in the
course you
same
did.
sentence
You're
because
so
it's
polite.
me.
Yes,
I
I
am
know.
so nice. And he's the cook. He's the guy making the fries. And he turned around and looked at me. He goes, I didn't do shit for you. Why the fuck are you thanking me? And I just went, get me some fucking French fries. You want to be a bitch? I'll be a bitch,
You said that?
100%. Like, fuck you. Like, give me my fries. You know what I mean? I get my fries, and then all of a sudden it was like, hey, he's a bad guy, or not a bad guy, but he's the bad boy. You know what I
Yes,
mean?
the
And like
bad
you start
boy.
to get to know who he is. He's got a little bit of an attitude. So I'm like, okay. And then sure enough, within 3 months, the two of us were dating. Within another 3 months, we were moved in together, and it has been 20 years almost. Like
Six
it's going
months.
to be 20 years. Yep.
I'm
Just so you know, that's like the short story, but we started off fuck yous and now it's 20 years later. The
true.
one
And
thing I'm going to say, even though it's been 20 years, is just have fun with it. And like, if you feel pulled in a certain direction, don't mess with it.
it's a really good point, but I was like, I could get pulled in 30 other directions in the
And
next.
that's okay. But that's
Yes.
totally okay too.
No, it's hard though, because then like I'm telling this person I'm already too serious about it because I'm
Yeah.
telling this person one thing, and at the exact same
Yeah.
time, I'm like, he could also meet someone in 6 weeks,
Yep.
right? Until so we part ways, we don't kiss, and I sit in the car and of course make a quick Instagram video about how well it went because I really enjoyed it. Thought it
Because
was
that's what we do.
it is what we do. And about an hour later, I get a text from him and I'm delighted. And he said what a good time he had. And I'm thinking, I had a good time too. And I said, yeah, I had a lot of fun too. And then he pulls out what I consider to be the craziest line I've ever heard, considering we're not going on another date for 6 weeks. He says, if you see that we're no longer matched, it's not because I unmatched you. It's because I like to get to know one person at a time and I'm going to delete Hinge. And I think that's unhinged behavior to delete an app after one date. Okay.
Okay, I don't know. I'm in between it because like in one way I'm so there for that. Just getting to know you and not having any other distractions means that to me he's ready and he actually wants to meet somebody. So he's not fucking around.
Okay. But am I ready to meet somebody?
Who knows?
Who
Who
knows is
knows?
right? Who knows is right. It's true. I don't know, but I forgot
Isn't that why we date?
that is, yes, you're right. That is why we date. So I just tell him, like, maybe don't. Like, please don't. But I will tell you that it reframed how I viewed him. And we already had this date of like the second date set. But for me,
In a good way or a bad way? Yeah.
yeah, good question. At first, it was a scared way. I thought he was nuts. Maybe that's his name, not Target. But at the same time, that was a lot more about how I viewed my own dating life and what I'm doing versus, what he's trying to achieve. I felt, whoa, that's putting a lot of pressure on me. And he did a great job of pointing out, no, 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 you do you. I'm not asking you to stop doing you. In fact, I
Yeah.
said, you're the fourth date. You're my fourth date of the week. He said, you're my fourth date in 2 weeks. Sort of. And I like that. It was a little like, okay, little
Good.
bit. You're dating a
Yeah.
lot. So am I. Like, don't act like you're the only one who can get
Yeah,
four
you're
dates.
not the only one, Missy. Yeah.
I was like, okay, cool. So there we are. We've been texting every day. And
Okay. You know what? We're gonna have a whole bunch of different episodes just on like what it looks like to date this like just today. I can't even imagine. Can't even.
no, you're right, because dating now is even different from when I dated 8 years ago. It is.
Like imagine 20. Like I
No.
met him like if I didn't work in the restaurant business, I wouldn't have met him. You know what I mean? Like
Yeah. Oh, and also that's crazy. You met in real life.
yeah, in real life, not on an app, nothing.
And I've had people approach me in real life because of the kink thing. I'm like, I really like to get it out there a little bit sooner. I
Yeah.
do date on some apps with zero reference to kink, but I prefer to meet people who are into it because I know it's super important to me. So
Okay. So what apps are you currently using?
there are two kink focused apps I'm on, Meet Kinksters and BD app. I had
Okay.
both founders on for those apps on the podcast earlier in
Yep.
like previous episodes. Then I'm on the generic ones. Let's call them the vanilla ones. I'm on Hinge, Raya, Tinder, and The League. Okay.
Okay. The
Yeah.
League is the new boy that I keep hearing about from all of these housewives.
But The League has been around for a really long time. But yeah, it's supposed to be in a league of their own type of people. But yeah, it's one of those things I'm like, well, if I'm in this and I'm seeing all the same people I see on Tinder and Hinge, then and Raya, right?
Yeah.
All of these apps are just different versions of the same thing. Okay.
Right. Can't
Uh,
get on one, you get on the other.
or on all of them. Like,
On
and that's
all of
the
them.
thing. There are people who I see on every single app. Every single app. In fact,
Isn't that interesting then? Oh, that's a whole other topic. But
it is.
that in itself is interesting because it means that is there actually a real algorithm working in the background? Do you know?
Oh, that's a good question because we're all meeting each other.
Yeah.
I just matched with someone today though that I have matched with. I messaged him jokingly. I said, "So should we match on 5 apps before we actually meet in person?" We've already matched on Tinder, Raya, The League, and Hinge. And today was The League. So I've matched with this person on 4 apps, and it's
And yet you're not matching.
no, we're not meeting. And I think that speaks a little bit to what dating is like as well. There are people that we keep coming across. We obviously find each other attractive because we keep swiping right or picking each other.
Right. But not making it happen. So like what's happening in the background of your brain that's like, you know what I mean? Whereas you hit the trigger with this guy.
I think that a lot of the reason that I did when I look back at the messages was just he really led the conversation. It stood out. And the humor.
Mommy needs a daddy to tell her what to do sometimes.
Oh my gosh, guilty, guilty, guilty. I liked it. Not gonna lie.
Yeah, I get it. Like there are times where I look at my husband and be like, I don't want to tell you what to make for dinner, or like, or I don't want to make the decision on what to make for dinner. So tell me what you want so I can just fucking make it. It's a form for me of like, I don't want to make decision. You handle it.
I don't think you understand the Dom energy you just brought to this conversation though.
Oh, really?
Said that like I don't want to like decide what we're having to dinner. What do you want? That was very dominant energy, which is the same energy you bring to our morning calls where you're like, where are we on this? I know I'm scared to get on calls with you sometimes if I haven't done my work. But if I've done my work, I know you're going to be very complimentary. And
Good
I live
girl.
with the praise. I love it.
So we have established a 6-week date.
I have one
Oh.
more thing that I really liked about him on this date. He listened to episode 1 of the podcast before coming on the date. And
Ah,
I know.
how did that make you feel?
Well, he mentioned listening to the podcast and I just stopped dead in my tracks. I said, what episode? Right? Because I don't want someone knowing about the time I let a stranger inject me with B12, right? 'Cause I'm like, okay, if you know too much and you still showed up, there might be something wrong with you.
Something's wrong with you.
And he said, just episode 1. I thought I'd get to know you in person. Yes, it was like a sigh of relief. I was like, okay. And I continued walking, at which point I'm like, did he go back and listen to more? Because I would be wondering what is wrong with this.
Now you just told him to go listen.
Did I, right? But I love that he took an interest and he said, not everybody puts so much information about their job on their profile. And when you did,
Yeah.
of course, I went and looked it up. And I just thought,
Yeah.
okay, I could get down with that. So
But you know what? I mean, if anything, it's a good calling card for the rest of the people that are out there. I mean, we like you, target guy, but there may be other people out there. Who knows? Okay, so we're keeping him on the roster.
So my roster though is really just early stage dating. There has
Okay.
not been any intimacy yet with anyone because I am
Hmm.
stage in rostering. We're interviewing for the roster.
Interviewing. Oh, that's a whole other episode.
Yeah.
Like figuring out what that looks like. Like, when do you get intimate with your potential partner, you know?
You'll be the first to know, Brenda. Monday, Wednesday morning, who knows? I'll be like, so last night. And I'll let you
Wait, let me make sure we record.
and we're running. Yeah, so I don't know. He just took an interest, and I have a huge interest in his life, and it's been going well so far over
It's
text.
exciting. I
The,
am so here for it.
the question is, can we survive 6 weeks of not seeing each other?
I don't know. There's some people that can have fun sexting for quite
Yeah,
some time. I mean,
maybe that will be us, but I'm even wondering 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. What if it's 6.5 weeks? That's how long it is between dates, nearly 7 weeks. Watch.
like Meghan Markle and like Harry did not see each other for 6 months and still like
Made it happen.
I'm just saying.
You are just saying.
They were literally an ocean apart. Just putting it out there.
Okay. Okay. Neither of us are celebrities. So maybe that's why we only have to wait 6.5 weeks. We're not an ocean apart. So that is just one date in depth of one story. Okay.
More dates, more dates.
How many more can I fit in? So we'll see. We'll
All
see.
of them.
But hold on. I did get a couple of dating questions in general, and I'm wondering, well, just
Yes.
so I do the Monday Ask Me Anything. I'm gonna look at some of those questions and we'll see what I can answer now, and then
Yeah,
maybe
let's do
I'll
it.
have people. Okay. Question. Any recommendations for kinky dating apart from FetLife, which isn't even a dating app? So you have 2 options for kinky dating. You have Meet Kinksters, and you get 50% off your first month of premium with Meet Kinksters if you use the link. So that's number 1 if you're super focused on kinky dating. The other one is BD app. BEEDEE app. And that one's based on the BDSMtest.org that matches you based on how you answer a quiz. And that one's really cool too. I've gone on a date from that app. Or you can just put subtle hints into other profiles. And that's what I'm doing on Hinge. So like this is target guys from Hinge.
So, okay, so what are some of the ways that you indicate on your apps? So, like, we already know you love to be spanked. So,
My favorite emojis are the ping pong paddle and the
got it.
peach and the
I
wait.
mean, obvious. That's so
Yeah,
obvious.
yeah. It's like the black heart, chains, rope. There's rope emoji. All of those are obvious ones for kink and BDSM.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good to know.
Okay. So I got a lot of questions about the dating apps that I'm using to meet all these people. And it's a true mix of these kinky dating apps and regular ones like Tinder and Hinge. Okay. Someone's asking, is dating in your 40s impossible this day and
I
age?
saw that.
I would say absolutely not. If you can toggle your age range that you're looking for on the apps, and maybe you have to pay so that you can filter more appropriately for what you're looking for, but it's not impossible. There are people out there. I have clients of all ages dating and meeting people right now. So there are many options, and I don't think dating is not dead at any age. I'm helping someone who's 76 create their dating profile right now. So they're
Okay.
out there. Yeah. I think that answers a lot of things, but did you see any other questions? Hold on.
Discreet way to show if you're a top or a bottom.
Okay, like here's what I used to put back in the day. It's not on mine right now, but looking for the S to my D or looking for the D to my S. Oh, there's a literal emoji that says top. Okay, so you can just say looking for a top or I am a top. Just say
Okay.
I'm a, and then insert the top emoji.
Okay, excellent.
Brenda, thank you so much for joining me. I've had a ton of fun chatting with you, and I don't think this will be our last conversation about my dating life. Yeah.
Yay! I'm totally in it. From a woman who's been married for 20 years, lady, I'm living it through you.
I'm so glad you can
I want all the dirty
vicariously,
details.
yeah, enjoy all of this. And you ask the best questions because I don't even think like, is it normal? I don't know. We'll find like, let me go on a few more dates. Yeah. So now we're
Alright.
trying to line up some second and third dates with people. More to come. If you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to subscribe, leave a review, and share it with anyone who might find it interesting. And if you have any questions or topics you'd like me to cover in future episodes, feel free to reach out. Email info@thekinkconsultant.com. Until next time, keep on kinking on.